It's 10:30 here in New York City. You're watching Market Makers on Bloomberg Television. I'm Eric Schatzker.
And I'm Stephanie Rule. We got to talk about a big guy. You know who it is, Carl Icahn. And eBay CEO John Donahoe is stepping up his offensive against billionaire activist Carl Icahn. He's consulting Icahn's former foes, including Apple's Tim Cook and Reed Hastings of Netflix. But how does this deepening war of words impact the fate of PayPal? I want to bring in a man who can give us great perspective on it. Bill George, he's a professor at Harvard Business School, and he joins us now from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Bill, it sounds like they're sort of bringing together a Carl Icahn support group.
Well, Carl is very tenacious. I think he's going up the wrong alley here. I see no validity for going after eBay. eBay is one of the great performers on the stock exchange, up 465%. It's got a great strategy thanks to John Donahoe restructuring that strategy 5 years ago. It's paid off, and I think Icahn's going the wrong way. I wish he'd go back to trying to revitalize moribund companies or companies that need help like he did with Biogen.
Bill,
but I think he's going the wrong way here.
Why do you say Carl is going the wrong way?
Well, eBay has proven that PayPal and their marketplace work well together, give them a great platform. If I were on that board, I'd be saying exactly the opposite. Look at the way Google's moving. Look at the way Facebook's moving. What are we doing to broaden our platform so we can be more successful? We don't want to get caught like Nokia or BlackBerry did with a narrow platform. We need to broaden that platform, make it more mobile, make it available to everyone. So what are we doing to add on to it? So I think taking a company apart that's become a great global company makes no sense at all to me.
All right, does the battle become bigger than the truth? Even if eBay is a great company, even if Donahoe is doing the right thing, when Carl Icahn comes a knocking or banging on your front door, you know, what do?
You stay the course. You make sure that you're prepared. You believe in the strategy. You stick to it. You've analyzed your business. You know that it makes sense, that synergies are not mythological, but they're real, as they are in this case. And you have a board that has the chemistry to come together. People like Mark Andreessen, Scott Cook. These are outstanding. Ned Barnholt. These are outstanding directors. They have a really good board that understands tech. Most of them have been CEOs of major firms. They understand the vitality of Silicon Valley, how fast it moves, and they know they have to be on the leading edge, not behind the times and trying to get in. That's unfortunately what's happened to Microsoft. So I would say, let's go forward, guys. And if you look at these nominees that Carl's thrown up, I don't see how they possibly compare with the kind of people on the board today of eBay.
Bill, there are multiple facets to Icahn's activist campaign against eBay. You mentioned one of them, this idea that they should spin off PayPal, but he's also trying to get his own directors on the board and perhaps even oust the CEO, John Donahoe. What do you believe is Carl's ultimate objective here? Because looking at the situation, it is, you know, obviously Carl has a big voice and a powerful one, but it's difficult to win on all fronts.
I think he wants to make money in the short term, Eric. I think that's his only goal. He doesn't know anything about this business. This goes back, Carl's been around for a long time. He was one of the raiders of the 80s when they had green mail. People like eBay would, in those days, the old companies would pay him off to go away. I don't think this board's going to back down to that. But I think he would like to get some kind of action like spinning off PayPal or a short-term move that would raise the stock price and so he can get out.
So
and
is this...
Look, I'm on more on...
Then
Stephanie.
would you characterize this as the worst of activist investing? Carl simply using bullying tactics on a platform he doesn't understand?
Well, I think it's pretty bad. I've seen worse, but and he has a right to do this, but I think the board has a right to just say no.
Just
Look,
to
he's
put
a
in
minor
context,
shareholder.
When you say you've seen worse, give us an example.
Well, if you read the New York Times on Monday, you saw a couple of interesting articles. One by Andrew Ross Sorkin justifying this whole transaction with PayPal, and you saw an article on the attacks on Herbalife, and where you get lobbying and Congress and everyone else involved.
But hold on a second. Is it fair that we will say Bill Ackman is the only one using these aggressive lobbying tactics when, on the other side, Herbalife spends quite a bit of money lobbying, even more than Bill does?
Well, I would too if I was faced with that. Look, these activists are very tough, whether it's Nelson Peltz and PepsiCo or Carl Icahn. They've made their success by being very tough, very tenacious, and using the media to make an attack to get a lot of publicity. You're not hearing a lot from other shareholders. I did see a guy named William Smead, one of the happy shareholders at eBay, who's been in the stock for 5 years, saying, look, we made a lot of money. Where were you? And I think if you listen to the real shareholders of eBay, I think they're very satisfied. I would be if I were a big shareholder. I wish I'd bought into that stock 5 years ago. That kind of increase, it's pretty remarkable. I'd be a very happy camper, and I'd be looking for ways to keep that going forward, just like we did at Medtronic.
Well, since you brought up the example of Bill Ackman and Herbalife, right now, Bill, as you know, Herbalife stock has done great since Bill Ackman got in with his short position. What if, let's just paint a what-if scenario. The FTC has started to investigate Herbalife. What if the FTC does uncover evidence of a pyramid scheme? All those shareholders that you just made reference to who feel good about the fact that the stock is doing well won't feel so good under those circumstances. And then how will the board look?
It's always a risk. You know, we had risks in Medtronic of potential, product issues. We have risks in the financial community, Eric. Business is about risk, and you have to take those risks. I'm not an expert on Herbalife. I've just been watching these battles, and I think we're not hearing enough from the people who hold 90% plus of the shares. I'm much more in the Warren Buffett camp that said we're going to run this company for the shareholders that are going to stay, not that those are going to leave. We have to focus on the long-term shareholders. And I don't know enough about Herbalife to really comment on detail, but I know enough about eBay to say that's exactly what John Donahoe is doing, and I think he's one of the really, truly outstanding CEOs in America. And we're proud to have him. I mean, I would be if I were a major shareholder of eBay. And so I think we just need to not back off to these people, not cower because they're aggressive.
Yeah,
okay, they have a right to be aggressive.
In the Herbalife example, people really haven't cowered to Bill Ackman. If you look, even yesterday after the investigation was announced, shares were only down 7%. But would you actually link the New York Times article on Monday saying Bill is spending an enormous amount of money, possibly paying off politicians and lobbyists, paying them quite a bit of money? Would you tie that to the FTC investigation? Because that would be really, really bad for the FTC, obviously.
I don't know. I wish I knew more about it, Stephanie. I'd like to have more inside information on that. I don't have that. So I really can't answer that question. And I think there's enough red flags there to take a look. But, Icahn's, to my knowledge, not. In fact, he's on the other side of that one. He's actually for Herbalife. But in the case of back to eBay, I think that this board needs to be very resolute and stay the course on their strategy, their tactics, and keep going forward. And they've got to worry about a lot more than Carl Icahn. They got to worry about what competitive platforms are going to come from Microsoft or Google or Facebook or any others to get into the same business they're in, and be prepared for those kind of challenges and build a great global franchise. That's the other thing John's got to do.
We have to leave it there, but special thanks. There is no better authority on this subject than you, Bill George of the Harvard Business School. Thanks again, Bill.
Thank you, Steph.
Coming up, everybody, more on